Ever since I was a preschooler, all I saw every day was Rocky Mountains, a blazing hot sun, and cacti, tons of cacti everywhere. Before our family moved to the desert, we lived in Seattle, which was full of rainy days. Now, every day is sunny, but extremely hot with only 2 to 3 days of rainfall for the entire year. Now that we're going to Northern Europe, I can experience as many landscapes full of blooming nature as I want. The first country that my family and I visited on our trip to Northern Europe was Iceland. Iceland was filled with many different terrains and rich Viking history. Even though it was summer, we all agreed that Iceland was way colder than even our winter. All of the other countries were pretty cool too. My favorite place that I went to was Iceland's Golden Circle. We saw their astounding geysers and went hiking in the middle of the night, since the sun literally never set. This was the first time that we didn't rest in a hotel in a new country. We slept in our rented car. The second country that we arrived in was Sweden. Sweden was stunning. We went to their city center first and visited their downtown and Old Town. I really enjoyed the elegant castles and their grand history. We also got to see their guard changes in and outside of the castle. They were even riding horses. Their food is absolutely amazing, but also extremely expensive, like all the other countries in Europe. After staying in our hotel for a few days, we went to Sweden's shore to live on a boat. It was a unique and interesting experience, but I wouldn't recommend it. The next day, we drove across a bridge and arrived at Denmark. Denmark was full of stories and fables, especially since Hans Christian Andersen once lived there. I got to explore Andersen's childhood home in his museum. The downtown was amazing, but the best parts were their breathtaking castles and palaces and their educational boat rides. My favorite place we visited in Denmark was the Little Mermaid statue. She was a character in a book that was written by Denmark's most famous author and sculpted by one of the best sculptors in Denmark. Going to Denmark was extremely fun, but we still had one more country that we needed to visit, so we decided to take an overnight cruise to Norway. Norway was one of the most beautiful countries that I visited so far. We went to Bergen first and had a wonderful time there. We tried their fish cakes in the fish market and went strolling around in their souvenir shops while it was pouring outside. After staying there for 2 days, we drove to a fantastic skiing resort that we stayed in on our way to Oslo. The view on the way to the skiing resort was unlike anything that I've seen before. So beautiful and gorgeous that I begged my parents to let me play in the snow, even though we barely brought enough clothes. I wanted to play in the snow so bad that I jumped right across the frozen asphalt, over the barren fields, and jumped right onto the blanket of snow, as if we were long-lost friends. I slipped on it the second my foot grazed the ice crystals off the top of the pile, sending me crashing into the freezing cold. I stood up trying to dust the snow off my jacket and started jumping in the lump like a maniac. After a few jumps, though, my foot landed right into Russian Creek. At this moment, my clothes were almost entirely wet, so we decided that it was time to head back, or we'd get frozen any minute. I was sad to leave my snow pile, so I decided to take a piece of it with me, and found out later that it was not a smart idea. When we got to Oslo, we visited their gardens and parks filled with statues and their fantastic palace. We also went to an art museum and got to see the Scream. We stayed there for a while and left to go back to Sweden. We saw our last sights in Sweden and took our short plane ride to bid Iceland farewell too. Our vacation came to an end when we boarded our airplane to fly to LAX. I was sad, leaving one of the most beautiful places that I've visited so far. It was truly a fascinating and marvelous experience, yet so different from the overheated desert. I've never seen so much greenery, flowers, waterfalls. I could go on and on. Overall, this was the best trip that I've ever had, and I hope I'll come back again in the future. I'll remember this trip forever.